Hey everyone, Nick from ResoNix Sound Solutions here with another Audiotec Fischer DSP PC tool tech tip. This time is on something really cool that I am really happy for. I am actually happy to say that I was the person that requested this feature to the guys at Audiotec Fischer, and it was implemented flawlessly and in a way that was actually better than I even asked for. It's really cool, really neat, and we're going to show it to you. What it is importing Room EQ Wizard filters, EQ filters, into your processor's output channels. And you were kind of able to do this before, but it was very cumbersome, and there were certain features about it that were pretty limiting. It was still nice, to have. Even being able to do it was a nice shortcut. But again, there were limitations. One of the limitations were when you import them, you can only, the software pretty much just dumps them right in the beginning, going from, EQ band 1 and going all the way down. The problem with that is I personally like to apply my parametric EQ bands in EQ bands that are outside of the graphic band regions of the passband of the driver in question. And what I mean by that is, let's look at this. This is, channel A is a tweeter, and it's playing from 3000 hertz up to 20K. This would mean I would prefer to apply my EQ bands that I'm doing with parametric EQ, with measurements. I would prefer to apply them from, let's say, 1.6K down. I would not want to use these bands up here because I can go in by ear using band limited pink noise after the fact and do manual EQ by ear and keep things nice and predictable that way. That way, if I ever need to make adjustments by ear, I can make them within the passband super easily and not have to do a retune because all of it's buried in parametric EQ. I can just kind of go in and do band limited pink noise adjustments and update my tune that way. So let's say this is how it ended off. I can go, I can, 2.5K is hot, so we'll bring that down a little bit, vice versa here, we'll bring that up, and so on and so forth. And everything stays predictable. That's why I like to do things that way. And this becomes a problem for EQing down here once we get into the mid bass. Drivers, because you'll be crossing those down as low as 50, 60, 80 hertz, something like that. And you're definitely going to use EQ bands that go well into this area over here. And the subwoofers as well. Again, I want to keep my measured parametric EQ bands outside of the graphic range of the driver in question. And mind you, this is just a default tune that opens up with the software. This isn't a real tune at all. But another problem that would happen with this old importing feature is once you import a set of filters once, you cannot import them. You can't import another filter file again and have it cascade on top of it, like going to the next bands that are available. It would just overwrite those first two bands. Sure, you can go in and open the two files and copy and paste and add it to the first one, save it, re-import it. But by the time you're all said and done, it's like you might as well have just typed them in manually. And then the third problem is, again, if you watched the Helix conductor configuration video, you will see where I talk about setting up the tone controls. The tone controls use the second EQ band, and you can't do any EQ there if you want to use your tone controls because it'll overwrite it and it'll kind of black out this EQ band filter. I like to use tone controls, so this was a problem for me because it couldn't, whatever the second band was, it couldn't really apply it. So I asked the guys at Audiotec Fischer. Actually, they reached out to me, and we are in constant communication. And one day it was, hey, Nick, what would you like implemented? What do you think is next for our software? And we started talking about stuff, and I've always recommended a few certain things, and you know, me and the one guy who does the software, we have a really good relationship, and we chat probably once a week, and we just talk about, you know, life and audio and work and home and, you know, all sorts of things. And one day it came up, I was like, man, you should really try to implement a better way to import Room EQ Wizard filters. And to be honest, I really didn't think they were going to do this, because their goal is probably to focus on their Tune EQ feature of the software, which I'm sure they poured a ton of resources into. So I was, you know, throwing a Hail Mary that these guys would go and focus their time on a third-party software that has nothing to do with them. And especially something that probably on the larger scale, not many people, relatively speaking, are going to be using or utilizing. I just asked them because I was like, this is how I tune. This would make things easy for me. I only know maybe 2 other people that tune in a similar way as me that would utilize this feature set offhand. I don't know about anyone else, but people that I know personally, I only know maybe 2 other people that would be able to use this right out of the rip based on their tuning style. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to import, you know, my tune, and I'm just going to reset all of the EQ. I'm going to just import a few different, you know, a few different of the channels, and that way I can really show you here. You know, we'll just do the mid-ranges and tweeters. We won't do anything else. There's nothing really needed. You know what? We can just skip the EQ. There we go. And yeah, hold on. And right mid, no EQ. Boom. So, you know, we'll just focus on the tweeters, mids, you know, and take it. Actually, you know what? Let's do the mid bass too. Actually, let's not even do the tweeters, because those again, you know, we see what happens when we import down here. I want to show you what happens, you know, trying to do different, you know, the certain region that we spoke about before. And by the way, I personally set my front mid bass drivers to rear left mid and rear right mid. That way I can use the phase slider. And because they lock out using the phase slider on front mid bass channels, for, you know, there is a reason for it, and I understand why, but I think I'm at a point where I can, you know, I can tune very well. I don't need to be restricted by some, you know, technical things where we want to make sure people are using these things right. But I totally understand why they implement that. Anyways, getting to it, let's start with a mid bass driver. Start with the rear right mid bass driver, or sorry, front right mid bass driver. I know I have it labeled as rear, but again, this is for my front right mid bass driver. And this is the measurement file from the tune that we're seeing, or maybe an older one. I'm not even sure when this is from, to be honest, but whatever. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pause this really quick, because I know the new version of Room EQ Wizard has some other features. So I'm gonna pause this really quick. I'm gonna download Room EQ Wizard, the updated version, and we are going to use that, because that has some new features that are pretty neat. So give me 1 second. All right, I have this new version of Room EQ Wizard downloaded and ready to go. I imported the same file that I was using before. So yeah, let's get started. Like I said, we'll start with the right mid bass. So this is the right mid bass before equalization. I am not sure. Let me see what the crossovers are. 100 hertz to 270. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do 100 hertz to 270. I use Linkwitz Riley 24 dB crossovers. Not only acoustically, but I also use them electrically. Personally, I would prefer to just have them set there for a specific reason. I know there is a lot of people out there that say kind of set your crossover to whatever to achieve a given target, which that target would be 24 dB Linkwitz Riley in most cases. Me personally, I don't prefer to do that. I prefer to set my crossovers exactly as I want them to be electrically, as I want them to be acoustically, and I would prefer to use a few extra bands of EQ to hit the target as opposed to having mismatched crossovers from driver to driver. The reason for this is if I ever want to change crossovers, that kind of screws up everything if every single speaker is a different crossover frequency, slope, characteristic. It screws up everything. We're kind of locked into whatever crossover points we want. And if we do it this way, we know that it's linear. It follows the same thing. We just EQ'd the frequency response to exactly what the electrical is, and we can change everything one-to-one without having to think about anything. So sure, if you want to save 2 or 3 EQ bands, 4 EQ bands at the most in like crazy situations, by all means use whatever, sit there and figure out whatever crossover matches your response the best to get, you know, a desired acoustic slope. I will sit here and save myself time and save myself future frustration by doing it as I'm saying I would do it. So yeah, this is what we're working with here. As we can see, this would be a perfect situation where, oh, you know, whoops, oh, why did it, that was interesting. I guess it kind of changed without, even though it said something totally different. All right, so this is going to be 100 and I think it was 100. Let's see, 100 hertz to 270 hertz. So we'll set that, and we'll raise the output here to match the crossover regions right here, and then we'll EQ this and let it sort of do its thing. Let me just, I don't remember this being, yeah, we'll just EQ that. It'll be easy. So now we're gonna go into here. I'm gonna make this relatively, oh, by the way, on new software, you can boost up to 12 dB and cut down to minus 30. So you're not limited to plus 6 dB and minus 15 dB anymore. So, you know, I'll do max individual boost of up to 12 dB. Overall max boost, frankly, I know exactly what I'm doing and I know how I set my gain structure. I am okay with boosting my overall max. Again, I'm not really concerned. I know when my sound system is clipping or distorting, so I'll let it do whatever the hell it wants. I'll let it boost max overall up to 6 dB if it really wants to. But as we can see, our target is well below all of this, so it's not really going to do that. For flatness target, obviously if you want it more accurate, you want it set to 1 dB variation. For this, you know, video, I'm just going to do 3 because I don't feel like importing 100 freaking filters. And another cool thing that I also requested from Audiotec Fischer at the same time was allowing the use of high shell filters and low shell filters on every single EQ band. Before, you can only do it on the first band for a low shell filter and the last band for a high shell filter. And how you can get this to appear now is if you go to the DCM tab, you go to the PC Tool Configuration tab, and EQ mode, you change it from standard to advanced. And this is where all filter types are available on every EQ band. So we can set that, and then with the new version of Room EQ Wizard, which is why I downloaded it, I realized I didn't have it on this PC and only on my laptop, we can allow for low shell filters and high shell filters. We can change it to, you know, whatever we really want. And this is actually going to be a really nice way to take care of this extra thing to really match our crossover. So let's run it and see what we get. Oh wait, actually we got to do match range. I want it down probably 50 hertz up to, in this case, we're going to go up pretty high, 2500. Usually, you know, in a speaker that's crossed at 270, I'm maybe going up to 600 to 800. But considering there's so much up here, because it's a very specific situation, my car's mid-bass speaker location gets a lot of rise on the top end. We're going to set it up really high. So, and boom, just like that, we have a fairly, I'll get rid of the before response, and this is the after. So the before, the after, you know what, I see that one little peak, you know, I'm just gonna do it manually, and you know, we'll knock this down and see what happens. And there we go. There is, you know what, we'll take care of this too. I know I said we didn't want to go crazy for this video, but might as well just show you little things that I do along the way while I'm tuning. There we go. That's a pretty damn good response. So now we can also adjust to, you know, do them in order. And now this is the really cool thing. We want to make sure our correct channel that we want to do is selected in the software. We'll leave this window up, and all we have to do is click this button right here, which is the copy button. Click that. This dialog will come up in the Audiotec Fischer software. Close that out. And this is REW EQ Wizard's generic import. Select source channel, which is the REW EQ import. And down here we have import EQ. EQ starting from band 1. But here's the thing. I asked them if we can, you know, start from certain bands and maybe adjust for each import. Now again, this is a mid-bass channel where our pass band is from 100 Hertz to 270, meaning we can EQ by ear between maybe 60 Hertz and 500 Hertz. So we're gonna go all the way up to, you know, maybe band 15 will do. Actually, you know what? We don't even have to do that. We can just go all the way up, and it won't let us go past a certain point. This is actually what I do. I don't know why I said do it the other way. This is exactly how I do it. For the lower frequency channels, I just hold the up arrow until it's all the way maxed out. I drop it down 2 and hit import, and boom, we are imported. And this leaves, the reason I drop it down 2 is I just leave the last 2 filters undone, just because, you know, it just future additions that I might want to add or something of that sort. And it's just that simple. So let's do the left mid bass that I have. Where is that? So I also want to verify what my settings were here. Was 100, 270, 72. All right, 100, 270, 72, and you know, our settings down here are all the same from before. We'll match it, let it rip, and there we go. We'll go to EQ. You know what, let's just run this one with a super tight tolerance just to see. So 3 dB swing gave us 10 bands of EQ. This will definitely give us more, but we'll see how much tighter it is. And it gave us 17 bands of EQ. That's a little wild, especially for a mid-bass driver. So let's run it with 2 dB of tolerance. Cool, 15 bands, you know, whatever. We'll just roll with it. I'm not teaching you how to tune here, I'm just teaching you how to use this filter. Again, once this is here, click the copy button. You can close this, drop that. This is automatically up. We're gonna roll all the way up, drop it down 2, boom. There is our setting. Perfect, right? Let's do the right mid-range, which is 270 to 6,000. I actually think I do use different crossovers on the tweeters because I think there's a little low-end boost on the tweeters, but this is before the high shelf filters were implemented into REW EQ Wizard. This is a tune from months ago, so I don't have to do that anymore. I know I'm being a little hypocritical of what I said before, if I like to have matching crossovers no matter what. But at least in this case, I was able to have matching crossovers from left to right tweeter and left to right mid-range. It's close enough. But yeah, let's just go there. 270 to 6,000. Whoops. All right, let's see what we got. 270, 6,000. All right, that is a little hectic, but we will see. We're gonna change that to 12,000. We're gonna go down to 115, and Let's run it and just see what happens. Yeah, see this one, I'm not sure what exactly the tune was or what I did. Again, I did this tune months ago. Maybe I did drop the crossover down, and I am being hypocritical. I actually know I've never done an acoustical crossover of 6,000. So maybe I am being a little crazy. I think on this one I ended up at 4,500. It's where most of my crossovers are in my car. 4,500, 4,000, 5,000, somewhere in that range. So let's run it like that. And cool. Now, the unfortunate truth with mid-range drivers, since they cover the most important passband, they cover the widest passband, they're going to have a ton of EQ bands, and their passband is right dead center in the middle of your thing. Frankly, this is the one case where I let the EQ sort of just do its thing, and then I'll do my mid-range EQ by ear in the virtual channels. And for those that know, I have the Brax DSP. It doesn't have virtual channels, but if I feel the need that I have to do this on a specific tune, I do have 2 extra outputs that I run full range, and I just use as a loop back that acts as virtual channels, so I can use those. I'll do the EQ by ear for the mid-range drivers in those quote-unquote virtual channels that I set up. So yeah, let's run this. Boom. And we'll just jump up to band 3 again, because I don't want to overwrite band 2, because I like to use the tone controls in the conductor. And just click OK, and we're done. Left mid-range. So let's go back and see what our settings were. 270, 4,500, 65. 270, 4,500, 65. Let's run it. And there we go. That's simple. It really is that quick and simple. As soon as you have your measurements, it can take you less than a minute to get your initial measurement EQ settings and get them imported into the processor. It really is that simple. Really neat. I'm super excited for this. It's honestly made my tuning so much quicker and, frankly, thoughtless for a bulk of the process. A bulk of my tuning process is just monotonous. It's just taking measurements, saving them, running them through the virtual equalizer in Room EQ Wizard, opening the EQ filters. Sometimes I would type them out manually in the software like this. I would just do, all right, 174 minus 4.8, 4.04, and then next filter, 244 minus 6, Q of 5, 366 minus 6.8, 3.7. And as you can tell, I'm pretty fast with this, but I still have to sit there and do stuff, and it's definitely not as quick, and it's also open to mistakes of me mistyping something, than as opposed to me just hitting EQ filters, boom, and there we go. That's simple. I am very, very happy that they implemented this, and I've been thrilled using it. So thank you to the guys at Audiotec Fischer. For the guy that does this, you know who you are. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you want people to know who you are, or what your name is. I'm sure you don't want to get bombarded on Facebook with various requests, so I'm going to leave your name out of this video. But again, you know who you are. Thank you for everything that you have done to work with us on making all of these features great. The fact that you reach out to all of us that are actually active with these processors is what makes this software, and this software is what mostly makes these processors as desirable and good and flexible as they are. So again, thank you. You know who you are. Keep it up. You're the best. To anyone watching this, if you enjoyed it, share a comment below or share it with your friends, share it on your groups or forums. If you have any other questions about Audiotec Fischer processors or products or anything of that sort, feel free to email me, call me, message me, whatever. And if you're looking for Audiotec Fischer products, ResoNix Sound Solutions is now the only authorized internet dealer for Audiotec Fischer products in the United States. So if you do not have a local Audiotec Fischer dealer, we are authorized to take care of you. So, if you don't have a local dealer, or if you're looking for a local dealer, reach out to me. I can either put you in touch with your local dealer, or I can get you squared away with any of your Audiotec Fischer product needs. So stay tuned for more. I'm going to be coming out with a lot more videos, a lot more content of, stuff like this and all other things, sound quality based car audio and sound deadening. So stay tuned. I appreciate you watching and thank you for the support. You guys are the best. Have a good one.